Now we're going to work on problem number 3. So skip 2, you're going to do that on your own. We're working on number 3. We're going to do the same process that we did earlier. First, we're going to start by reading the problem and marking it up. And then we're going to take each step one step at a time. If 440 grams of carbon dioxide were produced, how many grams of ethylene were burned? So as a reminder, the ethylene was C2H4. So this time we're looking for how much of that was burned or used up. And we're given how much was produced. So this is what we know. What you know is your A, and what you're looking for is your B. And this should help you when you're trying to follow these steps. So our first step is to go from grams of A to moles of A. Always start by writing what you know, which was given, which was 440 grams of CO2. Down here, we're going to put grams of CO2 and we're going to convert it to moles. So this number at the top here will always be a 1, while down here will always be the grams of CO2. So I'm going to go ahead and calculate my grams of CO2, my molar mass. And I have C, I have O. C was 12, O was 16 grams. And I do times 1 because CO2 has 1 O. I do times 2 because CO2 has, I did times 1 because CO2 has 1 C. And I do times 2 here because CO2 has 2 O's. So that's 44 grams. Over here in my next step, I go from my moles of A to moles of B. So you're always going to put your moles of CO2 at the bottom because you have to cancel those. And since we're looking for ethylene, I'm going to put my moles of C2H4 at the top. And in these two boxes go my molar ratio. So back to our chemical equation to find the molar ratio. The molar ratio is 2 to 1. So the 2 was next to the carbon dioxide, so I put it there. And the 1 was next to the ethylene, or the C2H4, so I put it there. Finally, my last step is to go from moles of B to grams of B. So right now I'm in moles of B, which is my C2H4. So I need to cancel my moles and end in grams. So this number down here is always a 1. And what goes up here is the molar mass of whatever this is. So we already calculated that molar mass. See, we calculated number 1. The molar mass of C2H4 was 28. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in here. And now to solve this, all I have to do is multiply across. But before I do that, I just want to make sure everything cancels. Grams of CO2, grams of CO2, moles of CO2, moles of CO2, moles of C2H4, moles of C2H4. What I'm left with is the grams of C2H4, which is what I was looking for in the problem, so that's perfect. So my next step now is to multiply everything that's in my numerator. So I'm going to put everything on my calculator. Here's my trusty calculator. 440 times 1 times 1 times 28. So that was everything that was in my numerator. So we have 1, 2, 3, 2, 0. Then I'm going to multiply everything that was in my denominator, which is 44 times 2 times 1. $88. Okay, so my next step now is to divide 12320 by 88, which is 140 grams, and it should be C2H4. You are about to do problems 2 and 4 on your own. To help you get started, I'm just going to mark up this problem for you. So the first one, you know you have 56 grams of ethylene, and you're looking for your grams of water. Water is H2O. So I'm going to start for you guys by writing 56 grams of C2H4. I know my grams of C2H4 has to go down here. 1 mole of C2H4 has to go here. And here you need to fill in the molar mass. So you need to fill that in when you're doing this on your own. Then I know to cancel my moles of C2H4, that's going to go at the bottom. And I'm trying to get to moles of water, so that's going to go at the top. And in here, you're going to put your molar ratio. Finally, at the end, I don't want to be in moles of H2O. I want to be in grams, because that's what it was asking me for. So grams of H2O goes at the top. 1 mole of H2O goes at the bottom. And you're going to put your molar mass of water in there. For number 4, it's asking us to find how many grams of ethylene, remember ethylene is C2H4, are needed to produce 90 grams of water. So in this case, you're starting with your 90 grams of H2O, and you need to find your grams of C2H4 at the end. I'm going to let you guys fill this in on your own, but it always follows the same pattern. You should stop the video now, and once you're done trying these, I'll go over the answers. Here's the answer to number 2. Make sure you filled in every box with the same numbers that I have so you can figure out where your mistake was. The final answer was 32 grams. Here's the answers to number 4. Please make sure you filled it in just the same way how I filled it in so you can quickly identify any mistakes. The final answer should have been 70 grams.